pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Oh. Have an extra pen? I can't believe I don't have one. That's all right.
Look at me with a pen.
Yeah, that's good. So why don't we do the approval of the minutes of August 16th, 2021? Anyone want to make that motion?
So moved. Second?
Okay, by Steve, second by Dave. Is there any changes or? No, it looked great. It's a nice thing about having it live streamed. You can go back and check. Okay, so we'll bring it to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? So 4-0-0. And then we have the minutes of September 13th, 2021. And entertain a motion to pass
So
that.
moved.
By Dave,
Second?
by Steve. Any comments? Was a long read.
Yeah. It was a
Yeah.
long meeting, yeah.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? So
Abstained.
Oh, 3-0-1. Okay, perfect. Public participation? Okay, we'll move on. Director of Parks and Recreation report?
Thank you. So we had met on September 13th to appoint Patricia LaFosse as our next office assistant. She began on Monday, September 20th, and has had a pretty fun-filled week, I'd say. She's getting used to the office, learning policies and procedures, our registration software. She's been working with our registration software, familiarizing herself with that, and some of the other forms that we use on a daily basis. She's quickly adapting to the office and is already, like I had mentioned, immersed in RecTrack and answering phones and greeting customers. So we're excited to have her as part of our team. She's a good fit. Simon's Park pickleball courts, we had met with some neighbors at our, back in August that had some concerns about the noise. We had come up with a plan to temporarily move the pickleball courts to the street hockey area for a period of time to test the noise, moving it further away from the neighbors' houses. There was some misinformation that was put out there, and we wound up meeting with a group of pickleball players and went through that. They expressed their concern of moving the courts, and we are doing our due diligence and working with the neighbors as we told them we would. During that, we talked about with the players. They said, why are you closing the courts? We're not closing them. It's a temporary move. We should probably have a good idea within a week or two, as long as the weather is good, on the noise difference. So we're moving ahead with that. During that discussion, we talked about, or I worked with a couple companies on providing lines, temporary lines for us. It just would be easier to take it off our plate with everything, our maintenance guys have going on in the fall. But one person wanted over $3,000 to temporarily line the four courts, and the other one couldn't do it until April because they're so backed up. So we are gonna do it ourselves in-house, and again, they are temporary. We are gonna use a duct tape to just line the courts. They can play on them. If successful, we'll look at when we can transition and bring the courts up there full-time. But we'll have that conversation before we make any moves. So that is ongoing.
So just to add to that, if you get any complaints during the week because the courts aren't the same quality courts, it's just for 1 week. And I don't know, the folks, right from the beginning I said, we're not anti-pickleball at all. We want, recreation is to get people out and be active, and it's a great activity. We just want to have a happy medium between the players and the neighbors. So we're giving it a try. So if you get any phone calls, it's a 1 week, if it's good weather.
Yeah,
If we have bad weather, it'll go longer, and so that we can have a legitimate, if there's a difference in the sound. Steve?
Kevin, just one quick comment. The last 2 Sundays, I was up there at 8 o'clock in the morning with a cup of coffee and a vanilla spice that my wife likes to drink after Dunkin' Donut visit. And the courts were full. 8 o'clock Sunday morning, they were full.
Yep.
And they make some noise. I mean, I was parked up the top of the hill overlooking the baseball fields, and, you know, you could definitely hear it. So I can understand why the neighbors would like us to try to mitigate some of that noise. If you're reading your paper on a Sunday morning and all you can hear is ping, ping, ping.
Yeah.
I can see it can be a little bit of a nuisance. So I'm glad that we're doing it. I know it's a lot of extra work for the department. Appreciate all the hard work that they're putting in to try to address that issue. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone on this side?
What's our long, so if we do this 1 week, what happens after 1 week?
We'll have to have that discussion, you know, if the noise is less, I think the plan would be to swap it, but, you know, the neighbors are gonna have to understand that. That means street hockey will go down below, right? And there is noise from street hockey as well. And if that switch is made, we would have to do the surface over, where the street hockey currently is. We'd have to put a new surface in there and have it, you know, a new painted surface as well. It's gonna need a top coat of at least 1 inch to make it nice and level like they are down below. We're gonna have to put the stanchions in for the nets, permanent, you know, so they'll have to be cored out and put sleeves in. So it's not something that would happen right away. It wouldn't happen overnight. Like, oh, it works, you know, it's much less noise up there. We're gonna move everything up there, and it's gonna happen within a 2 week. It's gonna be some time because we're gonna have to get the funding for it as well.
Budgeting, so, okay, what about, we put the noise protectors up? Bill, is there any other, you had mentioned there was some other type of sound thing we might be able to put up or something?
I was just suggesting that we extend them, leave the courts where they are, extend them down the other 2 feet. And from what I see on the website of that company, that if you close it off completely, you can't hear anything. So that was my suggestion, to just extend it the other 2 feet down the bottom and leave the courts where they are.
What about, so the funding, it's gonna cost a lot of money.
It's gonna cost some money, yes. Either way. So if it stays down below, we would envelop, you know, we're gonna have to come up with money to envelop the rest of the court. I think, like Bill said, if it goes all the way to the bottom, you know, problem is that's not 10 feet all the way across that fence. It's 10 feet down to 9 feet, you know, 6 inches, or 9 feet 3 inches. So, you know, we have to have a skirting made for the bottom. But then I think if we come up the sides as well, all the way up the sides, it's gonna keep the sound inside. It doesn't soundproof it, it does dampen the sound. If you're in there and you're talking next to the court, or next to the sound barrier, it's like, it deadens, you know, just the sound of a voice, but a
Right, 'cause
pickleball.
I went up there and was listening to it, so, I don't think it, I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
It can be annoying, like if you're a next door neighbor, but I think, you know, I don't think we should jump into switching everything right away, just, you know, it's definitely gonna be lower across the other way, there's no, that's what I feel, but I think, we try other options before and we'll see what happens after this 1 week.
Yeah, and that's the
Going back
goal.
there though after the week, right?
Yeah, after, we can't just move it up there permanently. I don't think that's fair because we have nice pickleball courts.
Right.
You know, and you know, if we can identify some funds that we could get some skirting in, they'd have to custom, you know, that bottom panel. You know, if we can get that in for the rest of the fall, we're probably gonna close the courts. I think last year we did them Thanksgiving time. Or if it snows before that, we try to keep them open until Thanksgiving, and then we remove the nets and everything, and you know, because then the weather comes and plays havoc on them, and we just don't want people playing in snow and.
So I was away in Vermont this past weekend, and the place where we were playing, Queechee, they put a whole brand new pickleball court. I mean, gorgeous. And they say pickleball is gonna blow away tennis, especially for our age group. So, which is good. I mean, you know, activity for the, so I think, you know, we've talked about it, we're looking for another area to maybe put more pickleball
Right.
courts. So, maybe before we think of doing this new area, we start really thinking about maybe we could put another pickleball court. That, I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Because it seems like this is gonna be the new thing.
Yes, it is the fastest growing sport.
Play it. I haven't played it yet,
Yeah.
have you? But, I mean, it looks fun.
Yeah, it's, you know, for people who might not be able to move around the tennis court as well as they did in the past, it provides that type of play.
Exactly.
Smaller court surface, like the size of a badminton court
Yeah.
is what it is. And there's places that are, you know, indoor courts. I know Woburn Racket has pickleball over there now as well. You know, if you have a warehouse and it's empty, putting some pickleball courts in will make you some money.
Yeah.
Definitely, you will get people to play. It is, you know, when they leave here, the snowbirds or whatever you call them, and they go to Florida, they're going to, a lot of them are going to play pickleball and looking forward to it. You know, it's competitive, so, which brings a whole nother, you know, issue to pickleball, is the competitiveness, so.
Yeah, so this is just a test for 1 week,
Okay.
and it goes back to the courts, and, you know, it might make a difference, it might not, and then it's gonna take us a while, once we know if that makes a difference, if the sound barrier is better, but this is just the test.
Okay.
We have more of a discussion after it, when we see what happens.
Yeah.
I guarantee the pickleball players are gonna hit the ball softer for that week.
No, louder. So they can move
Oh,
back
okay.
louder. All right. While we're talking about courts, the tennis courts over at Ronis Park have been finished. That project's finished. They finished up right before Labor Day. The courts had to sit after they painted them just to cure for a couple days. We opened them in time for Labor Day weekend, and the feedback's been great. They look awesome. You can't even tell where the cracks were. You know, the sealing system, the armor sealing that they did is phenomenal. They did a great job. So we have some new tennis nets too to put up to replace some of the older ones. While we're on Rohannes, the parking lot project that we were hoping would be done at the end of June has just continued. But you know, it has a complete first coat, binder coat across both lots, Mill Street and Patriot Road. Guardrails, curbing have all been done. In this past week, they were putting in the loam and seed around the edges, grading that out, getting it all set and ready for the top coat. But on the Mill Street side, we did receive, or we did have an issue with drainage because the subsurface prior to this project was basically dirt. They paved right on top of dirt or, you know, a small amount of gravel. They had to build that surface up. What that did was trap water on the playground side. So between the parking lot and where the playgrounds are, where our storage shed is located, during the rains we got this summer, it became, people were calling it Lake Rohannes. It was pretty bad. The walkway, you couldn't go from your car across the walkway anymore. It was, you know, 8, 10, 12 inches underwater, and it took a long time for it to go down. Anyways, working with the engineers, town engineers, they've come up with a plan. They're actually going before Conservation tonight to get it approved, but it's putting some drains in on that side and connecting it to the other side, the drain system that's already there. If they get approved, they're gonna have to cut across the parking lot, so it's just the binder coat at this point. And then it's gonna have to sit for a year, so they won't pave that one until next year. But the binder coat is pretty, would you say durable? You've been on it a bunch, so it should be okay for plowing this winter and stuff. But when they open it back up, they want it to settle for a year before they put a binder or top coat on. Patriot Roadside will receive its top coat this year, and we're just waiting on the paving contractor for that. You know, the weather, the rain that we have gotten the last couple weeks throws projects off and it just shifts everything. So those should be paved. I thought it would be the end of this week, hopefully next week. But they'll pave it during the week. School's back in. You know, we do have some tennis programs over there, and we'll make note of that. They know that youth sports starts in the afternoon at 4 o'clock. You know, so it should be taken care of, not during any activity that would interfere. So
It already looks great.
it does. It really does look good. The next item I have, just a reminder that town meeting is Monday. It is a virtual meeting. We have a warrant article, the second reading of the Simons Trust, which should not hopefully be an issue to accept $65,000. The other item, there is a warrant that's been submitted by the town to reinstate some of the budget reductions that were made last September. And if successful, our department would receive the $10,000 back, would be reinstated into our part-time account. We did take that from Celebrate Burlington, and what we did, we had to shift and we weren't able to, we weren't planning to hire a social media coordinator for this spring at a part-time. We had our fitness coordinator, which we haven't hired yet because we, trying to get further into the year. So it will help us be able to hire those sooner, that money going back into part-time, if successful. And then Regan Park, so we had, when we had done that project a couple of years ago, we had the basketball court, we had 2 pickleball courts overlaid on there. But we realized when we went down to play as a staff, it was Hoppa Park Day, I think, and we had the pickleball set up. And when we were cleaning things up, we had a quick match between staff with Kelly and Jesse against myself. I did win.
I was like, we lost, Dave, I don't want to.
Come on! So I have to say I covered the court pretty well, and I stayed out of the kitchen.
I don't even know what that means.
The kitchen's that front spot, right? So anyways, I had asked the highway or DPW department, the highway department, to see if they could remove the curb that we had put in and extend the pavement so we could, get better use out of those courts. And they were able to do it for us this summer, and they took care of it a couple weeks ago. It looks great, so I'd like to thank them. So we can get some temporary nets and maybe, do some programming down there, whether it's a Club 50 day that they can go down there. It'd probably be a great spot for beginners. It's shaded. So we're excited about that, and thank the DPW for helping us with that.
On that, can we blow off the court? It has some sand on it.
Clean it all off.
Yeah, it
Sure.
could be from the paving, but needs to be just blower
Okay,
to clean it off.
okay, thank you. Next item, Wildwood Sunshade, we've talked about that before. Our plan was to try to get it installed this fall, but while working with the vendor, there's been a 40% increase in materials. Like with everything else with COVID, costs have gone up. So we're looking at some different options. We are looking at a complete covering over the whole larger structure, and I just happened to open the Parks and Recreation magazine that we get monthly, and inside the front cover were some cantilevered sunshades that work on the angles of the sun and giving some shadow shade to structures. And they had some with playgrounds, they had some with bleachers. So our vendor is actually out at the national conference right now and was working with the companies that he works with. They have booths there to get some information, and he sent me some stuff today. So we're going to continue to work on that, but I'm not willing to pay 40% more. I'm willing to hold off a little bit on it, see if in the spring prices come down. And then my last item, as some of you, or probably all of you are aware, we did have Truck Day on Sunday, September 19th, and that's the event that Al Fay basically created and brought it to what it is today. After Celebrate Burlington, we weren't sure if we would be able to run Truck Day with the Delta variant and cases spiking, but it's held off enough that we're still able to do it. We had Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, BHS Adopt a Class, all had tables where they sold food or provided information on their organizations. We had a great turnout from local companies, agencies and municipalities, including our own, and our own Parks and Recreation Maintenance Division brought up equipment. And the turnout, participant-wise, was phenomenal. It was a spectacular weather day. It was good. The part that wasn't so good was the unexpected rain Saturday night. I thought we were in the clear. We did get some trucks, left some tire marks, have been done in the past, maybe a little more this year, but our guys were able to get out there on Monday and got those ruts filled in, seeded, and we also aerated the common. So, it was a complete team effort, program staff there for the event, maintenance there to, help us on Monday get the vehicles off and get things cleaned up. So, we're happy with the entire event, so.
Excellent. Was it as many trucks as years past?
I'd say there was, we were blind, we didn't have a list. There was probably 75 vehicles there, and we usually see, I think they were seeing, anywhere from there up to 100, depending. It can get overcrowded with the same things as well. But we had a good variety. There was giant tree cranes, there was, landscape companies. Massport brought their giant Oshkosh snow blower that does the runways over at Hanscom, and they were so excited to be involved again. And they're like, next year we have this other equipment that we can bring. So it got people talking, and we had some new vendors that haven't been there before. So as word got out, we were able to, we kind of tried to make it as easy as possible by having them just fill out a Google form. We get that information. We know who's coming, who's bringing what. We did a map as far as where people would park, trying to stay out of, with heavier stuff, stay out of wetter, areas that tend to be wet. And then we had some companies that we didn't know were coming that arrived and just made it better. So it was a good day by all, and I hope Al was able to take a ride by and see it, again, without his foresight years ago, this wouldn't even be an event. But it is one that people look forward to. They called us all last summer and said, are you gonna do Truck Day? But at that point, we couldn't. And they continued to call, would you say, through the winter as well? Are you doing Truck Day this year? So.
My great nephews loved it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and Bill, the common looked awesome. Who cleaned up right at the sign at the lights? That was great that it was all cleaned up.
I think we had done it a couple weeks ago, but I think Max Landscaping may have come in and given an extra, I don't know.
Oh, at the lights, no, Mark Woods and our crew did.
And did it, okay.
Yeah. Well, it's awesome. It looked great.
Thanks.
Okay, anything for Brendan?
Good report.
Okay,
Yep,
great.
Thank you.
So let's go with Bill and the superintendent of maintenance report.
Great, thank you. We were busy on the Common, the center of town, for the past couple of weeks, preparing for the 9/11 ceremony and also preparing for the truck show that Brendan was talking about. Also, he was speaking about the weather on Saturday night, left us with some damage on the Common that we took care of Monday. We used about 4 yards of loam and seed. Then we aerated the Common to try to loosen up some of the compressed areas caused by all the vehicles. We've just finished another round of aerating, fertilizing, and seeding at various parks. in some of the school fields. The trim crews had a lot to do keeping up with the school grounds and parks. Wading pool was closed on Labor Day, and it's been drained. The water line's been blown out and winterized. It's ready to be covered for the season. The lights were put up on 3 trees on the common for the Diwali festival that's coming this Sunday. We just received 2 new sets of soccer goals, which we're bringing to Rahanis and assembling. We've also been delivering and spreading infield mix at the various ball fields to get ahead of work for next spring, any fields that needed it. We delivered and spread playground mulch to the schools for the start of the school year. And we've been keeping up with the rest of the cutting, line painting for sports, and trash around the parks and schools.
Questions for Bill?
Thank you.
Everything's looking good?
Yeah,
Thanks.
great, thank you.
So how do you get rid of the clumps of grass? We don't have equipment our equipment doesn't cuts, it doesn't pick up, so,
Which, oh,
well, you know,
when it's overgrown?
right.
Well, we actually have a Rogers sweeper that you can tow behind and really sweep the fields up, which is buried in the burnt-out building at the moment, but we have that. And other than that, that's pretty much what you can do, except go over the grass over and over and over and try to cut it up small. It's just, with all the rain and with the fertilizing program, it's growing faster. So by the time we get to some places that have dried, after it dries out, the grass is high and it clumps up.
The fields, I went around today and Veterans Park, the grass looked awesome. Regan Park, the grass looked awesome. Simons Park, the grass looked awesome. It was exciting to see the program working, but on the flip side,
Yeah.
it's growing so fast that we're getting clumps. Maybe you could make it stop raining for a little while?
Yeah, I think we could work that out.
Yeah, but it's a nice problem. And it's grass, it's not weeds. Years ago, we had green fields, but they weren't grass. It's exciting.
Yeah, looks good.
Take a spin to Marvin and Rotary as well. We've added those in there, it's thick. It's not, as you mentioned, there's not bare spots. It's
I went
pretty
by
thick.
there the other day, they look awesome.
Yeah,
So,
so it's,
just gotta get the schools on board.
well, we have Francis Wyman as the test site without any kind of herbicide to chase the weeds out. There's definitely, you can see new grass growing there. It's just gonna take a little longer. So that'll be an aggressive overseeding this fall, because the weeds, any weeds die out when the temperatures start to drop, especially at night. They thrive in hot, dry weather. So we should see some even more improved conditions there, which is nice. It's gonna take a little longer. If we're able to use an herbicide, I think, we could,
Would have been quicker.
it would have been quicker, yeah. But, it's an option. They can see, how long it'll take. But, staying on a schedule and on a program, I think proves that we can do it, so.
And how's that new machine working?
The aerator, it's working well.
That is awesome.
It provides great coverage.
Yeah.
I mean, very close, what are they, like an inch, 2 inches apart? It's time consuming, but where we were going 3 ways sometimes before, you can go 1 way, takes you, slow, you have to go at a slow rate for it to, so you're not, you're getting the coverage you want, but it's definitely good. And the overseeder hasn't come in yet. I did get a call the other day, and I said, on another piece of equipment, I said, how are we doing on that overseeder? They hadn't seen it yet, but it's expected the 3rd week of this month, so hopefully, we're in that 3rd week, hopefully it comes in. So, another product of the pandemic, equipment,
Everything.
getting equipment, so.
Okay. If nothing else for Bill, Kelly, do you want to do the programming report?
Sure. So, most of our fall programming will be starting up, it started mostly this week, some last week, some next week. Our fitness programs will start in October, just the way that the quarters work out, they start a little later. And we're seeing some solid enrollment numbers for all of our fall programming across the board. So, I think we had to cancel one fitness program at this point, which we thought we would have to cancel much more, so that is exciting. We are seeing more people come back into the building. We are still offering a number of virtual programs, hybrid programs, and in-person programs, just to make sure that, again, there's something that everybody is comfortable with taking. So we're still being very cognizant of that moving forward, and you'll see probably more of that in winter as well. We did, as Brennan kind of said earlier, implement mask mandate for youth programming inside for our instructors and for those who are not fully vaccinated or they can't be vaccinated. So that would be mostly our youth programming. So if they're in a building and they are teaching a class, they're required to wear masks at that point. I want to touch just quickly, it's not a fall program, but softball season is finally over. So that gives a little more use of those two fields for other purposes. I know our TR program will start soccer down there next week. Just so that, you know, we're able to utilize those fields in a manner which they aren't typically used for. I think archery will go there for a little while and then move up to Mary Cummings, but we want to make sure that we're using all of our spaces appropriately. I want to touch on TR staffing. So we did hire, we had our intern Casey Kingman from the summer. She was interested in our part-time rec therapist position, so we have hired her for that position, which should alleviate some of the staffing concerns that we have going back full person with all of our TR programs as well. Emma also took on a fall intern, which is the first time we've taken on a fall intern in TR. We think that there's enough programming at this point to support the NCTRC credentials that she would need to meet. And the University of New Hampshire did agree. So we have a fall intern that started on Monday. Her name is Katie St. Denise. I don't know how to pronounce it. Hopefully she's not watching. She's working. She's not watching.
She's at a corn maze. She's at a corn maze
She's at a
tonight.
corn maze.
St. Dennis.
St. Dennis, I think, is the way that I remember her saying it. So she will be here. You'll probably see her popping in and out of TR programming, or even some of our programs as well. She's learning not only about TR, but about community recreation as a whole and how that functions. So we are excited to have her on board as well. In addition, we're also working on our special events and our special event calendar for 2022, trying to project what we are going to be able to offer. What that comes with typically is our sponsor packet that we send out to all of our businesses. So I've been working on updating that, and hopefully that will go out the end of October, beginning of November, so we can start soliciting some department donations. This is something that was new. We sent it out in January of 2019, and COVID hit. So we're gonna put it back together and see if we can drum up some business there. There's different sponsor levels for different events, and then there are department level sponsors where you get to sponsor at specific events. If you are a title sponsor, let's say, for $3,000, you get to be at 8 different events that we have throughout the year. So we are working to finalize that and get it out to the public. Our next special event is the Spooktacular event. This year it'll be held on Friday, October 15th from 4:30 to 7 p.m. We are doing things a little differently this year at the Spooktacular. We are hosting a spooky walk outside through the forest at Simon's Park. And we have asked businesses to decorate a 10 by 10 area of the Spooky Walk, so that way it can be spooky, kid-friendly, however they want to do it for their business, but it alleviates some of our work as far as decorating a 50-foot, 800-foot area, which can be a little daunting. So we put a contest together, so we're inviting businesses and organizations to come. They can get a 10 by 10 area. We provide the area, we provide them a pop-up tent if they would like. They provide everything else. They decorate it however they want. We're gonna put a judges panel together, so I'll be reaching out to you guys shortly to see if anybody wants to sit on a judging panel. First place winner would receive a title sponsor for the department for 2022. That's that $3,000 value I just spoke about. Second place would win a silver level sponsor at Celebrate Burlington, which is about a $1,500 value when you look at our packages. So we're excited to go down this route and see if we can entice some of the businesses in town and create some competition between them. It's the first time we've kind of ever done anything like that, so we're hoping for a good response. I can tell you at this point, when I looked yesterday, I think we had 2 or 3 people. We put it out on Monday, so it seems a little encouraging. So we'll just have to get to work to find some other businesses to be there as well.
Excellent.
Great.
That's how, you're always thinking. You're always coming up with great
We
ideas.
try. We try.
Yeah. Let's see, questions for Kelly?
No questions, thank you.
All right.
Now, how do I sign up to be a judge?
Right.
Or can my business sponsor?
Business sponsor, there you go.
Just kidding, guys.
Mine might scare people.
Fits.
It is Halloween.
Yeah, but then they
My
might
wife
not want to
might do
come.
it. My wife loves Halloween, so maybe her daycare will sponsor.
Oh, that's fine.
I don't know.
No cost. You just have to
Yeah.
put an area together, come out and have some fun, see some kids.
Her and my son, big Halloween, big Halloween.
Yes, send me the information on the sponsorship, because my wife's company's in town as well, so.
Okay, yeah, I'll send it along.
On the website?
Yes.
Thank
Yep,
you.
but I'll forward it along to each of
That'd
you.
be great, thank you.
While we're talking about sponsors, I'm just gonna, if I can jump in, we had Shake Shack actually sponsored the lunch for the people who brought vehicles and apparatus, so.
Great.
I just had a brainstorm a couple weeks ago, like, Shake Shack, oh, they're open, let's see. And he would, the manager, general manager was so thrilled to be able to do it, and, I shared our sponsor booklet with him that we put out right before the pandemic. We had this nice booklet that went out, so I think he'll be involved for the year.
Great.
In other things. It's a big part of their company is community involvement. So, and I think you get the most bang for your buck when you do some of our events.
Oh, sure.
100%. It's families, it's community group, community, just a sense of community pride, and so. But just wanted to throw
Are we
that.
gonna be able to do the big Christmas light thing again this year? Like outside, the whole?
At this point, yes.
Fine.
Yes, unless anything changes, so. Did you want to sponsor?
Yes, I will sponsor
A
that.
drone show? No?
I'm telling you, we're about my
Drone show, I'll sponsor it for sure.
Want to hear the price
You
first?
cannot tell him
She started
anything.
at the Tokyo Olympics.
Well, I don't know if I'm gonna do Tokyo Olympic sponsorships, but, I'll definitely sponsor.
Dublin had a great one. You can Google it. They did one for their New Year's Eve fireworks. They did a 500 drone show instead of fireworks. There's a lot of advantages to it as far as scaring dogs or people who might have PTSD or people who might have sensory issues who can't listen to the fireworks because they're so loud. There are definite benefits to going to some sort of silent show in the sky, whether it be drones, or there are some silent fireworks made out of Italy that are ridiculously expensive, but there is some reason.
Yeah, fireworks that can fire without noise?
Yes.
They come with silencers.
I don't know.
I
Yeah,
don't know how they're engineered, but
I've never heard of that.
yeah, it's not very popular here in the States at all. The only place I can find it is Italy, and to get them over here would be more than a drone show.
Good job.
Okay. Let's see, on the chairman's report, I don't really have, Brendan gets to talk before me, so he gets all the good stuff. But I was at a Community Preservation Act meeting, the group working on that. And Jonathan Sachs, Dave, gave you a great compliment, your involvement in the sculpture park. And he's really excited with everything you're doing, so just a shout out to you.
Well, on that end, I'd say our crew, our maintenance crew did a great job on the sculpture park, getting it ready for the new sculpture that just got brought forward a couple weeks ago. The first one got canceled because of one of the hurricanes that come through, but the entranceway and the overall appearance that you guys have been doing, especially weed whacking around all the, making it look really good. And, Jonathan, Bob LaRue are very involved in this. They want to, because we have to buy those sculptures. Eventually, all those sculptures are just, they're sort of like leasing them. So they're putting up a whole new, sort of like, the brick, how we did it for the dog park and all
Buy a
that.
brick,
So,
yeah.
they're coming up with ideas to be able to, but Maureen Wall's family just donated that new sculpture that they just brought out. That's pretty cool. They're involved in it, but, yeah, thanks. Tell the guys they did a good job on it.
Okay, thank you.
They plan on doing more events there. And I've gone, so the guy who did this chairs,
He carved it into the
oh,
stone.
what a great guy he is. And he dedicated he was unbelievable. I talked to him for like a half hour. And he's from Weston, Mass, came and did it all. And then you see people up there all the time. And we have our meetings there. So even when you're there, people are walking through with their kids and stuff. And so it's pretty cool.
I hear there's a wedding up there in the sculpture park.
There is a wedding. There is a wedding. So, yeah.
Let's see, anything else on your,
No, I was just gonna talk about the sculpture park. That was it.
okay. Anything, Bill?
Nothing planning, no.
Yeah. In the old days, just to mention, if some of the businesses, when they were coming up for projects, helped out the rec department, if anything, they're looking to do a town project, don't forget us.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Will do.
So,
Yep.
okay. Do you have anything?
No.
Okay,
From the RAP subcommittee.
all right.
Remember that one, Brendan?
The what?
RAP subcommittee.
Oh, yeah. No, we should be clear of that.
All right, let's see, new business, we have the siblings discount. We were gonna talk about that.
Yep, I know you had asked to talk about it a little, so.
Yeah, I'm glad you put it on the
Yep.
agenda, Brendan, I appreciate it. I've been made aware of a couple of families that have multiple children that can't afford our programs if we don't have a discount for their second child or their third child. So I wanted to talk to Brendan. Brendan sent me some information, but some of it involves applying for financial aid, and some of these families don't really feel like giving out their financial information. They're struggling. They got multiple children. I sympathize with any family who's raising twins or more, and I thought that it would be nice to have a conversation about providing a discount, maybe 50% for the second child or the third child, without making them go through financial aid applications and all of that other stuff. So I appreciate Brendan putting it on. I was hopeful that we could consider it maybe as a policy, maybe at our next meeting when Tom's here, we could kick it around a little bit and maybe provide some financial assistance to. There's a lot of people out there now that are having twins.
So,
Because they, you know what, and it's cost prohibitive for a lot of them.
right,
We have to make them pay full price for both children. And then the kids can't, and they need a break, they need to get their kids into some of these programs, and when they can't afford it, it's pretty devastating, so.
I have no problem with that. I don't know what the.
So, yeah, so I think I had shared a response that, we do have the financial assistance program. That is an anonymous program. There's only 2 people in the office that see the applications, and they're sitting here at the table. We don't share that information with anyone. You don't even have to show a need. If you complete an application, we tend to give between 30 and 50% on up to 2 programs per season, throughout the year, so, per person. So, if they just filled it out and put their name, I think we asked for ID on there, they're most likely going to get 30% off the cost of a program. Problem with doing a sibling discount across the board is that we have a lot of, we call them vendors that we do business with, someone that runs, a mad science program for us, and it's a separate company, it's not our staff. Some of them are able to do it, some aren't. The ones, we do have sibling discounts for certain programs now that we've worked out that deal as part of the contract with the vendor. But if we did it across the board, we'd have to change our complete pricing structure, because our goal is to keep programs affordable for residents in, non-residents as well that participate in our programs. So we would have to revamp our structure, our pricing structure for programs. But just, I know that in FY21, we did about $17,421 in financial assistance. So that was, we take it out of our revolving account. That's what pays for, people who may be struggling. And sometimes it's just one time they apply for it. Maybe they're in between jobs or whatever. But Kelly has looked into a way to make it even, less, or more anonymous, I guess, being able to work with our registration software that they would only have to come into the, and I'll let Kelly explain. I'm just going to let you explain it.
I thought I was gonna-
It's easier if you explain it.
So in looking at how families are impacted through financial instability, kind of has come up since the pandemic and people being furloughed and those kinds of things. One of the things that we have talked about to not only make it less stigmatizing for families, but to put people who receive financial assistance on the same playing field as people who don't, is putting what they call a rule in our system for that family. So we would create a rule saying the first 2 programs that they register for, or the way we work it now is the 2 most expensive programs that they apply for, we provide financial assistance for that, for them. So that rule will go right into their household online. No one would be able to see it on the end user part. It would just be an internal rule that would be there that either myself or Brendan would put on. And then instead of right now, so they do have to come in and fill out an application. And when we talk about an application, it literally is a top paragraph of name, address, I've read and understood the policy, and they sign. If they have documentation showing need, like a letter from the school saying they receive free or reduced lunch, their transitional assistance card that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts gives them, they just have to show us that. We don't ask for any financial information whatsoever. If they don't receive any of that support from other organizations, there's a separate part of that application saying, I don't qualify for any of that, but I still need help. That's the point that Brendan is talking about. All they have to do is check that box off. So when we talk about what they would have to do, they would do that, and then we would go into their households and we would put a rule on their household, and they could register online just like everybody else, and they would receive that discount. I can tell you that I was doing some financial assistance today for a family of 6, and they all were doing programs from both parents to the 4 kids, and they were receiving, each of them was receiving 75% off all of their programs across the board. That family alone, we gave about $1,200 worth of scholarships for filling out the form because they need it. We're more than happy to do that. But when we start looking at sibling discounts across the board, our pricing structure, the way we do it now, would be blown out of the water. When we look at the fees for our programs, if you look at our fees compared to other community fees, they're low. We make a total of $5 per person per program. Most other departments are charging much more. It's more of a 30, 40, 50% that they're taking as far as the overhead is concerned. In Burlington, we're fortunate where the town supports us and we don't have to do that, which is how we can keep them low, which is how we can give about $18,000 out in scholarships. But when you add that sibling discount on top of that $18,000, the cost becomes very prohibitive. We would have to raise fees again. We just raised fees for our fitness programming because we kind of got in a tight spot there as far as we were taking surplus from one program and applying it to another program so that it would come out even. So we were able to run programs, trying to think of like a chair yoga program for 9 people. When we really needed 16 to run it, we would run it anyways because we knew we were going to have 25 people in Zumba. Well, in this market, we have a max of 25 people in the gym total. And we're not necessarily meeting that every time either. We have a max of 12 people in the function room when we do programming. So before in the function room, we were at 25 people. That's been cut in half. So like our revenue streams aren't what they used to be. And right now, we're barely able to break even on our fitness classes. There's some that we make money and we're doing the same thing. I'm like, oh, we have 12 in this class and the minimum's 8, so we can run this class if we have 8 of them, so it evens itself out. But financially, I don't know that we can support it, I guess is my point. Sorry, that was a very long-winded
Yes,
answer.
you got very in-depth.
Sorry.
Yeah. I have a follow-up question, Mr. Chairman.
Go right ahead.
Kelly, I think what I'm talking about isn't a quote-unquote sibling discount. So if a family has 6 children, we're talking about automatically giving them discount. I'm talking about families with twins. Making if you have twins, the second child, if there's room in the course, we would give them a 50% discount. I don't think that's gonna swamp the budget, because I don't know how many twins there are in Burlington, or triplets, but for those families that have twins or triplets, I think that it would be nice to have a policy where they would get an automatic discount. You maybe can tell me how many families are, maybe they're not signing up because they can't afford it. But I understand what you're saying in terms of putting pressure on the budget because of siblings and giving every sibling in the family a
Right.
discount. I can understand that 100%. What I was talking about was just for those circumstances where we have twins or triplets or more. I don't know if there's that many families.
So can I play devil's advocate for just 1 second? So you have 2 children and they were born 12 months apart, let's say. Do they get that discount, or is it just the twin? Like, because we're gonna get all of these questions. Like, I have 2 kids. How come I can't get that same discount that a family of twins is getting? I'm okay. We'll do whatever the policy is, right? Like whatever it is, we'll do. However, we are gonna have to answer those types of questions on a very regular basis.
I think the financial pressure on families with twins or triplets is much greater than the financial pressure on families who space their children apart. I mean, it's overwhelming to a lot of families. It's overwhelming. The mother has to give up her job, because she's got twins and she can't put two of them in a daycare scenario. It's too expensive. So that's what I'm concerned about. I understand might create some problems, but I don't think there are going to be that many circumstances where we would do it. So that's just what I'm suggesting. If we have
Well,
a family with twins or triplets, the second and third would get a 50% discount without having to put them through the burden of filling out financial forms. Because a lot of people don't want to apply, even if there's a check the box. I'm glad we're having the conversation tonight, because I didn't know a lot of this information. It's very helpful. But like you say, there's a little bit of a stigma attached in a lot of families. A lot of people don't want to do that. So if we made it, a policy just for families with twins and triplets, I think we would be doing a big service to those families.
Okay, on the other side, Steve, it's almost giving a perk to having twins because everyone else in that class would be supporting the second child. And some of those twins don't need the perk. It's only the people that need the benefit, and we already have a program to give them that benefit just by filling out the card. We've always had a benefit for people that needed it, and all going back decades. We've always had it. it just seems like a lot of work to maybe give more people a benefit than the people that really need the benefit. And then those people, we should just be telling them, if you have a problem, to reach out. And, you know, the staff is incredible about giving, you know, we're recreation, that's what we're here for, is to give everyone the needs and the opportunities to do it. It just seems it would be overcomplicating it. We have a system already, they just have to ask for it, is my opinion. On this side,
I agree with you. I mean, I know where Steve's coming from, but like you said, if the people need assistance, we'll give them assistance. You don't have to have twins or let me ask you this question. I know you're running out of the operating budget to pay for it. Is this something that the Simon Trust could help?
Well, programs that take place at Simon's, you know, that's what they would support, but,
Okay. No, I just didn't know if like they had
Yeah.
maybe something that they would, you know.
they like to keep it to
$10,000.
that Simon's Park and the town programs that happen in those spots, so, we have used that for Club Simon's,
In our preschool program.
yes, in the
Well,
preschool program.
I know, you know, speaking to people in financial need, I mean, I definitely know it, I've seen it. So, but like you said, they have to check the box. I would assume that they just have to check the box. I don't, coming up with the, do we have a policy where if you have 4 kids, they're all under 8 years old with all the programs? Are there discounts after, like, say, 2, so there's no discounts, it's
Just the financial assistance policy, and I think, you know, I understand the stigma of that for people, but I think, you know, if something like what Kelly talked about, if we're able to work it out where, you know, it's just once during the, you know, once a year that they have to check off that box or show the proof of need, or just check the box that says, you know, I don't need any of those, but I do need, you know, the benefit of having a discount, and we can put it in this, it kind of takes that stigma away, because it's built in, you're only dealing with us once, not every season coming in, then it would be built into their household for that year, and then, you know, that automatic, you know, whatever that discount would be for this second sibling, we wouldn't even know that it was a twin or just a sibling. It would just be built in there. I think that's a good work around to that issue, because we will get, in our front office, frontline people, the clerks will get the majority of the calls on, you know, so I have to have twins to get you know, playing devil's advocate, but in reality, that's what they'll do. And we won't get a couple calls, it will be a lot of calls, and it'll be every season around registration. So not that we don't want to take a call, but it will, you know, it will add a lot. So I get the stigma part of it, but I think it's pretty anonymous that it's, you know, you don't have to list any financial need, you know, show need. You just have to check off that box.
Well, hopefully, through the chair, hopefully people are watching this conversation
Yeah.
tonight, and they'll learn a little more about it.
Yeah, and I think our staff tries to do a good job of putting that information out there without it being like, you know, we know there's people that need, you know, it's there, it's in the brochure.
We also work with Youth and Family Services. We work with the school department for referrals for kids who might need
Yeah, the
some
school department
assistant,
knows, you can always find
yeah,
out.
if there's other barriers, English as a second language sometimes is a barrier that we deal with the school department. I get phone calls on a very regular basis from each of those entities saying like, hey, what can we do to get this participant into this program? So those phone calls can happen, and we can turn things around pretty quickly on our end as far as how we support people. We just need that information filled out. And, you know, hopefully we're able to streamline that, and it will be a very quick check a box and then annually getting an email from probably me saying like, hey, do you still want to receive some aid? Do you still qualify for your aid? However that works. So that would be like another person out of it, and it would just be like a personal email to them, and they can say yes, and I can just put them in for another year. And that's the hope. According to our policy, there is still the first time somebody asks for financial assistance, they have to come in and just show us their driver's license so that we can put a face with a name and make sure they're a Burlington resident. And then after that, the idea is they would never have to come back in to ask for that again. And I've met with people after hours because they knew somebody in the office, or they knew somebody who knew somebody in the office. And I'm like, yeah, I'm here till 6 or 7 tonight. Just pop in whenever you're comfortable. Just show me your license and you'll be good to go. Like, we make whatever efforts we can to keep it as anonymous as we can. Because we think that that's an important thing. We just want people to participate. That's what community recreation is. So, you know.
Oh, yeah, when I hear people can't participate,
Yeah, we don't love hearing that either.
Not at all.
that's why I was thinking if it was automatic, they would take advantage of it. And if they have to, there is a stigma associated with it for a lot of people,
Sure is.
and they're struggling because of the
There sure
fact that
is.
they had 2 or 3 kids at the same time, so.
And if they did the financial assistance, actually, they probably would end up getting more of a discount than the traditional sibling discount you're talking about.
Do you know many cases? We've never discussed it this way.
I don't want people to get identified, so I don't
No,
wanna.
no, but,
You know,
Oh, but you can let them know that it's available,
Yeah, I certainly will.
you know? I mean, I mean, I've known about it, but, I mean, yeah, if people run into a
I
problem.
didn't think that an
you know,
automatic discount for twins or triplets or more would trigger so many complex management issues. I thought it would be fairly simple.
If it was only simple.
I don't want to trigger management problems.
Well,
I appreciate.
But our
all that
application is online, and if you or anybody else on the board knows anybody who feels uncomfortable or whatever, they can call me directly and I'll set up a time to meet with them privately just to confirm their driver's license. That literally would be it.
Okay.
We also do that on a regular basis because we understand the privacy issue, and, you know, people are proud and they don't necessarily love that. So we will make whatever accommodations we can to make sure kids can participate in programming.
Got some phone calls.
That's fine. Bring them on.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
yeah, no, and if you see it not working, we'll bring it up again.
Yeah.
Definitely. This is the way it's been for years. It seems to be working.
We don't know
But-
though, Kevin, because if there's a stigma attached with people are hesitant, or they look on the application and first it says, are you receiving free and reduced lunch? And they think, oh my God, I'm never gonna qualify for that. So we wouldn't necessarily know if it's working or not. That was my concern.
Okay.
But
That's fair.
Do you want to do something in the brochure a little bit more for the financial need?
It's usually up in the front.
It's in the policy section in the back.
I mean, we could try highlighting it towards the front, but without, you know, we don't want everyone to apply for it, even if they don't need it either, you know what I mean? But maybe bringing it towards the front a little, or in, you know, if it's youth programming that we see a lot of need on, maybe a little blurb, you know, to check out our policy, financial assistance policy, so we can look at that.
We can do that.
Yep.
We can put some
And,
information out there on media.
Yep.
No, what I was saying is, if you want to bring it back again, if you had talked to someone, you can come back and give
I
us
will.
other feedback.
I'll be happy to do that.
Yeah, and see if,
But I think it's a good conversation, good discussion tonight.
right. You probably didn't know they gave that many services away.
I didn't know it was that easy.
It's pretty easy.
It's recreation, it's all about love.
Yeah, yeah.
All
I mean, we
about
can
love.
also look at how the form is structured too, like if you're saying because the first thing is show need, right? Because that's how most people qualify for us. They just check off a box and attach something and call it a day. But we can look at how that might be intimidating to some people as well, and see if maybe we rework the form to be a little more user-friendly.
move that to the top more,
Yeah.
so the two choices are right there.
Okay.
All right, very good. Thank
Any
you.
on this side? No?
Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
All right, any other new business, Brendan?
Just two quick topics. We do have a new tenant at Rohannes. We do have a beaver. Again, so we're working on steps to help relocate, maybe, is a good term. But the lower soccer fields, the back one, has been a swamp since July. We weren't sure if it was just the rain, but we did identify a beaver dam that's been built and removed the conservation, removed a small section, allowed water to go over, and within a week it was built back up. So we are working on that. And then I drew a blank, I didn't write it down, but we can move on. It probably wasn't, it was
Okay.
just a note of information for people. The other one, I can't remember what it is, sorry.
All right, any old business on the board? Commission? All right, Brendan, any old business?
Nope.
Okay, so, no need for executive session. And, we were talking maybe, doing one meeting in October because you have Columbus Day and,
Right.
so if you wanna, we'll reach out, but maybe Monday, the 18th, tentatively,
It's fine.
maybe. Okay, we'll check it out and we'll send an email out to everyone to see, you know, you can check your schedules and we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then entertain a motion to adjourn,
So move.
Second.
second by Bill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose, abstain, so 4-0-0. Great.
Thank you.